Hello everyone and welcome back to Sam's on Wrestling. This is the Power Rankings. I am Baby Sam and this is Elder Sam. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing really, really well.
How are the joints?
Do you know what? Aching.
Yeah.
Aching, absolutely. Lovely. You know, when you've got to put a whole wrestling YouTube on your back.
I would know. It must hurt. And today we are actually ranking Randyorton.
Randyorton.
So this is where we take a wrestler and we give them a few little categories and we rank them from 1 to 10 on each one and then join our scores together. So it's out of 100 for each of us. So it's ranked to a score of 200 and we basically create a leaderboard and discuss our favourite and least favourite wrestlers.
So a few cataracts.
A few cataracts! It's the cataracts that's kicking in.
I really am that old. A few asterisks there, a little bit of housekeeping for you. This is at their best. Unless there are a few negatives that have to be taken into consideration because they are so overwhelming, this is a wrestler at their best. We have 6 leaderboards. Randyorton would go on to our overall and our main event leaderboard. So, want to get going with the first category?
Yes. So the first category we have is the wrestling ability. What have you gone for, Sam?
So this is pure, just in ring, nothing pompous over there, the ability to move and all that jazz. And I've got 9. Randy is not one of my favourites. I'm going to openly admit that. But is there a person who is smoother, who's ever been in a wrestling ring? I don't think there's anyone I would argue is smoother. His timing is unbelievable, and that comes down to wrestling ability. You know, it's not about is it entertaining or whatever. His ability to do things just to the inch perfect is what pushes it really highly for me. Because every time I watch him, you don't see a botch. Never with Randyorton. And his RKO out of nowhere thing is a good gimmick, but it's the fact that he's done it on so many unbelievable ways, which comes through timing and precision. And the way he does his power slam, I think generally Randyorton's wrestling ability is so strong that I actually would award him as high as a 9.
Wow, that's interesting. I've got a 7.
Really?
And I
could understand that as well.
I absolutely agree with your points. I think we've gone for different criteria.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone more what moves can he do, and if you look at many Randyorton matches, it's very basic, it's very repetitive, it's very rinse repeat. Absolutely, it's smooth, and his footwork and technique and timing especially, all great, but I feel like he never really pushed himself to add that many more moves to his moveset.
Yeah, he builds to a crescendo, doesn't he?
Yeah, and maybe you don't need to when you're Randyorton, but I just think there's a lot of boring Randyorton.
No, I get your point. It's the idea that how he builds his matches. It is to that big finale crescendo, and you don't remember the first 18 minutes. You do remember the last 2. So I get your point. I absolutely fully understand it because I could have easily gone that low. I think even now it's still just so exquisite to watch him.
So next up we have storytelling. Now this is more about their storytelling within matches. What kind of story do they tell? I have gone with an 8 for this one.
I've also gone 8.
Have you?
Yeah, I've also gone 8.
Why have you gone 8?
I actually do believe that Randy's wrestling ability is better than storytelling, because you were saying about the more boring. That's where I think the storytelling kicks in rather than his wrestling ability. I think if he added more story elements to it, that wrestling boredom actually would be less an issue. I think when we go for his best, because this is why we're going to best for his 9 for wrestling ability, I think it was heel work. And I think, like, particularly 2009, not WrestleMania 25, and like in the ring, the psychopathic sort of tendencies, that you did feel a little bit of like fear towards like around him and stuff like that. And I do believe he builds matches to that crescendo, which is the storytelling motif. And I do think he gets you invested in matches, because which for someone who's quantified as boring or repetitive, that's impressive. So
absolutely, and I think there's 2 sides of the coin here, because again you've got that repetitive nature and he can get a little bit lazy with the storytelling.
Yes, he can.
He can just go, rinse, repeat the same kind of basic template matches. What I really like about Randy is his facial expressions. Yeah. He is one of the best to ever have done it with his facial expressions.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, he's like before doing an RKO or anything, like, it's fantastic.
Well, the build to the RKO itself is storytelling.
Yeah, that's the psychopath gimmick. I remember after he RKO'd Nia Jax, that laugh he did. There's little things like that just makes it better.
Little splits
the splits, exactly. It makes it better. And Randy's at his best when he's having fun, and you can tell.
Yes, actually. When he made his return, Slices 2023, and he started messing about with Kevin Owens for that time, that for me is the fun. And I've really enjoyed that version of Randyorton, I have to admit. No, I'm with you on that.
So next up, we have promo ability. Quite self-explanatory. What have you gone for, Sam?
Tough one with Randy. Because I've never liked any of his promos. I think even Randy will know he's not a great promo. And I actually would argue that his promos have regressed. Because when he was in his evolution and he was like cocky, and I think it was more of who he was as a person, I actually found his promos much more entertaining, actually. But when he became the kind of psychotic heel from 2009 onwards, a bit boring. So I've actually given him a 6.
Okay.
I really do think it was that low, because I was thinking going, he's Randy Orton, he's one of the best ever, but I don't really care for any promo he's ever done, really. I always thought Randy Orton was all about the attacks and the segments that he does rather than the talking. So I've got him at 6.
That's a really good point. You know what? I'm with a 9.
Are you like that? Really?
Yeah, but now you've said that, because I've gone kind of like I think that you thought initially, it's Randy Orton, it's all about the character work. But when you actually look at a lot of his promos, I'm just thinking back to the Authority.
Oh, God.
And that, you know what, has to really draw it down for me, which is a shame, because I think when he's on it and does a good promo, he did one with Rhea Ripley that was quite good, actually, when he came back.
Yeah, I remember that.
So he did a really good one against Roman Reigns, actually, when he was about to feud with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could put it up to an 8, but I really get your point. I think I'll have to, take it down a little. But I do really like, when he's on it, his promos.
I think that's when we always talk about their best, but the best shouldn't be a one-off. Best, the idea when we talk about this is kind of around the time when they're at their peak or they're at their best doing that thing. And I don't think he's ever had a best promo. And I said I thought he was better when he was younger because he was a cocky kid, and I thought it really suited him. Yeah. And then just changed. So yeah, I can see why he would go high, but not for me, for Randy.
Okay, so next up is their look. Sam, what have you got for his look?
So this is like, you can either go on attire or you can go on appearance or whatever. For Randy, I've gone 9.
Okay.
I generally think if you're going to build a wrestler, and this has always been said, but it is true, they look like Randy Orton. Because it's a mobile wrestler, it's someone who could change technical styles, he looks good, handsome young man as well. I just think what's missing is, anything extra any nuance or anything that he puts on top. He's always worn the black trunks pretty much, and that's about it. He's never added an extra element to himself in 20 years. When you think about Cena changing his shirts and all that jazz, and wristbands, etc., hats, he's never added that. He always looked the same, pretty much. Even before Evolution, it was blue trunks. So for me, it's all about the physicality, the physical look. But I couldn't give him a 10 out of 10 because you wouldn't remember a Randy Orton appearance. But in terms of if you were building one, it would look like Randy Orton.
I entirely get that. I've gone 8.
Yeah.
I just
Similar
think,
thing.
Yeah, again, he looks great, but it's not like, Cody Rhodes with his jacket and stuff, like entrance
There's
time.
no special entrance at Mania. I can't think of anything like
when
that.
You've had a really good Randy Orton entrance, like a special entrance.
Can you name a special entrance?
No, I just...
He had the semen snake.
Exactly.
Just
sperm
a
race.
sperm.
That was the beginning of the projections that evening.
Oh, God.
We'll forget about that. But yeah, I've gone for an 8.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Randy, everyone knows he looks great. And sort of thing. And by the way, when he came out in 2023, wow, did he look amazing. Fair play to him. It's like him and AJ Styles came back at a similar sort of time.
Yeah. They
both looked incredible. It was great to see, to be honest.
So next up is their entrance. Now, we've alluded a little bit to this before, but what score have you given his entrance then?
Yeah, so you're talking about the music, videos, and what they do. I've gone with an 8 for Randy Orton. And it's kind of a combination of a few things, right, with his entrance. We talk about, like, what did he show? But let's first of all, I Hear Voices in My Head is an absolutely fantastic song that suits him. But so is his other one.
Yeah, I love that song.
And to be honest, it's a bit of a babyface song. Yeah, that was the issue with, the other one. Hey! Hey! So that's all I remember from it. Hey! I didn't think it was babyface, but that's a different thing. And then he kind of just walks boringly to the ring. As I've always said, that's a problem. But he has a golden shower behind him. Which is great. And then the pose is a very magnanimous pose. We talked about the idea before where, like, Brett just does his pose. This is a look at me. When Brett does a pose, it feels like, hey, this is the thing I do. Big Show when he does his arms, this is the thing I do. For Randy, it's not the thing, this is a look at me.
Yeah.
And I think that is, when we talk about iconic looks, and we talk about something that you would remember. You don't remember Randy Orton's, look, maybe he's wrestling. You would remember this. And that, for me, along with the music. Both music, actually. I think both his entrances have been really good.
Yeah. I've got nothing to add for that, and I've also got an 8. Yes. So I could just say what you said, essentially.
I think so. I think it's everyone knows the song. You know, I make songs like that again.
Please.
You know, it's fantastic.
So next up, we are ranking them from 1 to 10 as a heel. Now for Randy Orton, Sam, what have you given him?
I was up and down here. I've got a 9 because my brain went, is that his best? Because I think he's had some bad heel runs, Authority being one. But I just think back to the 2009 change, and that was so good. Even when he started feuding with Cena, I thought he was the good thing of that rivalry with Cena. I think Cena wasn't as good as he could have been there. And I thought he was just vicious and psychotic and evil and horrible. And how can you not hate that? And then he gets Rhodes and DiBiase, and then someone's a leader of a group. Everyone hates someone with a leader group because they can win by cheating and stuff, and that worked. And he got 2 young people relatively over in the grand scheme of things, and then buried them at WrestleMania. But I generally look at his heel work and go, it's better than your face work for a start. His evolution stuff, really good. Excellent. So I think you've got 2 stages of the heel work that you go, yeah, really good.
I can say a third, Legend Killer.
Yes.
Legend Killer I think was fantastic.
I put that with evolution.
Okay.
It happened at the same time.
Okay. I would give it a 9 as well. Yeah, I just think that Authority. But I do.
You can't give it a 10.
I do associate Randy Orton as a heel with a headlock. Unfortunately.
Oh, the Randy headlock.
Yeah, and that just brings it down. But at his peak,
there's a reason his wrestling ability is a 9. That headlock is perfect.
Oh, it's cinched in.
It's cinched in. There's no looseness going on there in that headlock.
But yeah, a 9 for me as well.
Yeah, he's great heel. Really, really good heel.
So now we are ranking him as a face.
Oh, baby face.
Yeah. Now, Sam, I'm intrigued here. What have you got?
This is the one I had the most trouble with because he's over. People have always cheered him as a baby face. But what do you remember about him as a babyface?
In fairness, I did enjoy the Christian feud. That was really good. And I know that a lot of that was Christian.
I was going to say, that's the problem, is you just named a thing that I think was all Christian. Because everyone hated Randy Orton in that, because he came back and took the title off Christian.
Yeah.
And Christian had no choice but to turn heel, otherwise he would have been awful. I've given him a 6. I really think he's just never connected as a babyface. And I think the only time really in my eyes where his babyface has been absolutely, something that people have enjoyed is kind of like now. Sort of thing, now sort of region, because he's that stalwart. He's the legend. He's been around, and I think he now has that kind of permanent baby faceness about him. It's like Rey Mysterio. I know Rey Mysterio's always a baby face, but he turns back, it's like, yay, Rey Mysterio, yay, Randy Orton. There are some people who just get yay because they're back and they're around. I just don't. Every other babyface stuff he's done has just never gone to another level for me. His best works as a heel. I can't even remember much of him being a champion as a babyface outside that Christian rivalry. And he loses it to Mark Henry in kind of just a meh match.
I think you're right. I don't think he's been WWE champion when he's been face.
No, I can't recall. No. Let us know if we're wrong.
Yeah.
I generally can't think of it.
I was going to rank him as an 8, and I might do 7 now, because you're right. I'm more thinking of since really he was in a tag team with Riddle.
Oh, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that.
And that was the turning point when he started to have fun.
Yeah, that legend aspect of it.
And suddenly he's just enjoying interacting with the crowd now.
His stuff with Kevin Owens was great fun around the WrestleMania time. They were having a whale of a time, and I really enjoyed that. That was funny.
So for that, I'm tempted to give it an 8, and I think I'm going to stick with an 8 just for that. But I absolutely see your point. Yeah, the low points are low.
Oh, that's the problem. Is that we were talking about their best, but I couldn't actually tell you what his best was. And him doing it now and having fun, is that really his actual best? Because if it is, that's not great. Him having fun with wrestlers at the end of his career or nearing the end of his career.
I think it's entertaining in the same way that when Brock started having fun, it's very entertaining.
I agree, it's entertaining, but is it the best you want from your main event, Randy Orton?
Yeah. No, it's a valid point. So next is gimmick/personality. Over to you, Sam, and this is more just based on his persona, his kind of character.
I'm going to go more with gimmick than personality here.
Okay.
And I have a 10.
Okay.
Because I think the Legend Killer is one of the greatest gimmicks of all time. Genuinely, I don't think there are better gimmicks. I really don't. And I will argue genuinely. Because if you ask what's a great gimmick, a gimmick is the ability to connect with a crowd, to get over, or for it to be something special. He literally beats legends. That's the gimmick. He doesn't lose. He beats them. You're guaranteed to get over. Like, literally guaranteed. You're always going to be in the ring with somebody special. You're always going to be in a marquee match and get over. And it got him over. Even when he started to lose, such as to The Undertaker and Hogan, he was in a marquee match. He was getting over. It's one of the greatest gimmicks of all time, and I will never have it not be 10 out of 10.
I think it's very fair. And even the future stuff he did, obviously as the Viper's Apex poster, was mixed. But then when you look at, again, 09, he almost went to a psycho killer. Like, he was just injuring people. The punt kick as well. I love the punt kick.
Oh, the punt kick was good.
He would take people out with
Couldn't
that.
do it safely.
No, hard to do safely, granted. But
well, there's a reason you started.
Yeah, I think it was fantastic. And I would probably give him a 9.
Yeah.
Just because of some of his authority stuff, and
that,
again,
I get that.
Taking the babyface stuff into account a little bit. But yeah.
Because if I'm just on personality, I can't rate him highly, but he was given one of the best gimmicks ever and used it to its fullest extent.
Absolutely.
Because he was even beating people you didn't care about, like Sergeant Slaughter and stuff, but you've beaten a legend. You know, no matter how often does a legend come back and just beat somebody and you're like, oh, they're dead now. Think about when FTR, you know, got ruined by DX and all that lot, or the Ascension with NWO and all that, they're dead now.
Yeah.
He beat them.
Yeah.
And the ones he lost to Hogan and Undertaker. Yeah. So, yeah, legend killer. Unbelievable gimmick.
Okay, our penultimate category is actually being over / a draw. Sam, take it away.
I've gone with an 8.
Okay.
He's always over, permanently over. It's constant. And he is a draw. He can be a marquee match. You can put him on that main event. But I've never felt that he's gone to the next level. We've talked about this before with people like Bret Hart and stuff like that. And Orton is a legend. But in reality, has he really been the number one guy? Has he been the one that everyone's excited to see in the main event? Even when he main evented WrestleMania twice, it wasn't him that people cared about. They didn't care about him at 25. They didn't care about him at 30. He wasn't the most...
With 25...
No, the match sucked, and that's my point.
But the build-up.
So the build-up was great. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that no one cared. Especially when we got to the match, no one cared. Everyone did already watch Undertaker and Shawn, and we're like, I'm done now. And that's the problem. He is an 8 because he always will be a draw. Everyone will always pop for his music. They always pop for him. But is he that 9 or a 10? Is he the reason that money comes in? Is the reason that people turn on to watch? I think he goes in spells of being the person to watch. I don't think it's ever constant.
And it's because he's being booked to do something, not because he is Randyorton.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would give him a 9.
Okay.
I think...
Which I nearly did, to be fair.
On top of your points, I think the whole RKO out of nowhere thing, the way that trended...
That is over as hell.
Made him a massive viral star. Most people who don't know wrestling know Randy Orton. Like, it's almost on the level of John Cena. Because of the RKO out of nowhere, it became this big meme. So I think the exposure that it did, it was like... It became this massive meme. And on top of all the stuff you've said, he is a big draw.
He is a big draw.
I'd give him just below a 10 for me.
I literally toed and froed on whether he's 8 or 9, and I just felt to myself, I'm never excited. And that's what made me go for an 8. If he was the main event, like when going through Roman's bloodline thing, I was excited for the match, but I was more excited because he was taking on Roman, not because of Randy Orton taking on Roman.
Yeah. And last but not least, I wonder what we're going to rank this. The finisher. Sam, do you want to do the honours?
10.
It's just 10, isn't it? It's the best wrestling move going.
He took a move that DDP did, the Diamond Cutter. And there were others who've done it, but DDP was the one who made it famous. And he took it to another level. Why? By jumping in the air. It's completely ruined his back by doing it. But DDP slammed him down. Randy Orton jumped up and brought him down. And then obviously started to do it in most famous ways as well. But what makes a great finishing move that's not submission? That.
Speed.
That's what makes it. It will always be. If you ever want to be a main eventer, that. Unless you've got something that's spectacular to look at or just really cool. Something like an F5 maybe. It's not hugely quick. Speed is what you're looking for. And Randy Orton, that move is what put him in the main event.
Yeah. And you can do it from anywhere as well. You don't have a convoluted setup. It's just anywhere, any angle whatsoever.
And he can do a build-up.
Yeah.
He can do a sweet chin music build-up.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? It's perfect.
And break your shoulder.
Yeah. So I have scored Randy with 85. What have you scored him?
I have given him 83. So therefore, Randy Orton has scored an overall score of 168. And that has put him actually first on our leaderboard, just above Bret Hart. Therefore, he's also gone first on our main event leaderboard. And I think so far that's about fair.
I think that's fair.
I think 168 is a good score. You're looking around 8.5. I reckon that's roughly where I would put Randy Orton as a wrestler, 8.5. I've really enjoyed looking at Randy Orton. Thank you very much, Baby Sam, for looking at Randy Orton.
You're welcome. Anytime.
And we will see you again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. What were your scores for Randy Orton out of 10? Please put them in the comments below, and we will see you next time. Out of nowhere!